Hey you guys, it's Cayley. Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another What Sold From Last Week video. If you're new here, I'm an online reseller. I go to mainly thrift stores and I pick up items for cheap, save them from the landfills, and flip them online for their true potential. The sites that I sell on are Ebay and Poshmark. That is where I make the majority of my reselling income. So every week I like to come on and share kind of a report of what sold from the previous week, do a short breakdown of my numbers, and then show a few of those select items so you know what to look for if you want to do the same thing. So we're going to dive right in, but I will say I had a killer week. This is another record-breaking week, and I look forward to sales continuing to improve as we move further and further towards Q4. And then hopefully they'll stay that way for like all of next year until next year during holiday time. But sales do start to pick up when back to school season is happening, and that is happening right now. So I hope that you guys are having an increase in sales too. Drop a comment down below and let me know if they are starting to pick up. But yeah, I'm hoping to stay within that $4,000 to $5,000 a week mark. I mean, obviously over 5,000 would be great too, but we have been working our butts off, and all of the work that we put in months ago on picking up quality items is starting to show now. Okay, so all of the sales on this screen here in this report happened between July 31st through August 6th. That is a Sunday through a Saturday. In total, I sold 137 items for a gross sales total of $4,334.98, making my average sale price $31.64. I will say majority of my sales for this past week were very like bread and butter, $15 to $25 items, but I did have a few higher price sales that really pulled this average sale price through, which you'll see here in a moment. But don't get me wrong, I definitely sell a lot of bread and butter stuff to make up for these sales. My estimated cost of goods based on an average buy cost for everything that sold last week was $548. And then my estimated net, which is my gross sales less the cost of goods, fees, and shipping cost, was $2,486.62. On eBay, I sold 98 items. On Poshmark, I sold 39. A lot of items sold on eBay. A lot of those were older items that I'm kind of flushing out, dropping prices on, and running a sale on. Gross sales on eBay were almost $3,200, and as you can see, that's where bulk of, the majority of the gross sales came from. And then on Poshmark, I did make just over $1,100, which I'm not going to complain about. Everything is, adding to the gross sales amount, but definitely eBay really pulled through for me last week. So let's dive into some of those eBay sales. This was probably one of my best sales last week, and one of my favorite sales for the whole year, really. This is a Polo Ralph Lauren men's vintage fleece-lined denim jacket. This is one of those pieces that are very rare. They're really hard to find, and so I just love finding anything like this, something on my bolo list. There are a lot of Ralph Lauren bolos. I know a lot of people pass on most Ralph Lauren, but there really are some really outstanding pieces that go for good money. As you can see, this is an older tag. It was a men's size extra large made in USA, which honestly, maybe I should have put made in USA into the title, but really cool vintage denim jacket. You can see it's got that corduroy collar here as well, and then it was lined with flannel, and this kind of lining in any jacket really helps to add value, and it's something that I'll be looking for as a key feature as we move into fall and winter while I'm outsourcing. I only paid $4.99 for this jacket. I had it listed pretty high at about $120. I accepted an offer of $107.96, which I believe was an offer to Watcher. This did take a little while to sell. We actually originally, when this got listed, I think why it took so long to sell is we accidentally had it listed as women's. During our inventory process, we noticed that it was listed as women's because we had a hard time finding it. Once I switched it to men's, which it actually is, it did not take long to sell. So I can't say whether it was just a longer tail item or if it's just because we had it listed incorrectly, but I think it's because we had it listed incorrectly. Next up is another amazing sale. I paid $4.29 for this dress. This is Nicole Miller, which is a designer and their stuff retails for a lot, does not typically have a high sell-through rate. However, I picked this up a while ago. This actually is an older item, but I'm glad that I did get it. I can't even say how long it's been. It might have been about a year I've been sitting on this dress, but I got it because it was 100% silk, had a really interesting neckline and multicolored print, and all of those factors involved. I just thought it was a really fantastic dress. Like I said, I paid $4.29 for this. I had it listed pretty high. I want to say I had it listed for about $95, and I just accepted an offer of $73. I have a really cool backstory regarding this dress, but I don't think that I can say it here on YouTube, but this was a really, really cool, interesting sale for me, about like where it went to, who purchased it. So keep your eye out for anything silk. 100% silk in women's dresses is definitely added value. I think it really depends on the piece, but I'm always looking for 100% silk dresses. This was something I believe I found at the bins, and this is a brand I would definitely look out for. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Lanyard. And this is a sweatshirt. Their stuff retails for quite a bit. And I got this, like I said, I think at the bin, so probably for a couple of dollars. I had it priced pretty high, I think close to $100, but it had been sitting. So when I got an offer of $64, I went ahead and let it go. But I would definitely keep your eye out for this brand, because even though you might sit on it for a minute, it's definitely going to bring a big return. This is one of my favorite brands to pick up in dresses. I don't find it very often. It is Reformation. If you guys see Reformation dresses, absolutely pick them up, especially these midi dresses. I paid $4.99 for this dress. It was also a size large, which I think helped to sell it, and it was a very trendy style with that knot front. So like I said, I paid $4.99. I accepted an offer of $55. This was a more plain Reformation dress, but some of their, pattern dresses or something with a little bit more sleeve can go for upwards of $100 pre-owned. So definitely keep your eye out for Reformation. Next up is a pair of jeans. This is a great brand to pick up in the men's department. These I think I found a total of 3 of them, and they were all new with tags. Now, if you don't know anything about Aria, first of all, they make leather goods. They make boots is what I think they're most well known for. And then secondly to boots is probably their jeans. The men's jeans do really, really well. The women's jeans are kind of hit or miss for me, but particularly in the men's jeans are these FR fire resistant. And this is true for pretty much any brand. Anything fire resistant does really well. It helps to add value, and it's typically a high sell-through rate for me. Now these ones again were the M4 boot fire resistant ones, and like I said, they were new with tags, so that helped to up the price a little bit. I had each of them listed for $58.47, and I only paid $4.99 for each one of them. This particular one ended up selling for an offer of $50, which I thought was a pretty good deal for both myself and the buyer. But keep your eye out for these fire resistant jeans in pretty much any brand. Next up is a brand I wanted to share. If you didn't know about, it is very high sell-through rate. It is Ibex, and I don't know if you can tell the logo here. I think it would be considered like, I don't know what that animal is, but this is Ibex. This is their logo, this little animal here. This is just a men's merino wool. That's kind of what they're known for. They're very similar to Icebreaker and Smart Wool in a sense, and any of their wool pieces do really well. This one was 100% merino wool, and it is a full zip short sleeve shirt. So definitely keep your eye out for this brand, and sometimes the tag is ripped out, so keep your eye out for that logo, but it's a very, very high sell-through rate, and really any of these brands that are known for their wool pieces are going to perform really, really well during fall and winter. So if you see anything 100% merino wool, especially if it looks kind of athletic-y, not necessarily talking about sweaters, although that does well also, but the ones to really look out for are the athletic looking things that are wool, because those fly off the shelf. I paid $4.89 for this. It sold for my full asking price of $49.97, and I just listed this last month, so it was a really high sell-through. This is the brand I just mentioned. It is Icebreaker. They're kind of known for the same thing. You can see that it says merino here. So these were a pair of merino wool blend with nylon pants. Same thing, wool, outdoorsy, athletic wear stuff. Does really good. There was a small spot on this as well, which you'll see we noted, but I reflected the price for that. Because I was so confident in this brand, I actually paid $9.99 for this. I paid quite a bit up, but I knew that they'd sell for over $50 even with that stain. So I priced these for $59.97. We listed them last month, and they sold on an offer to Watcher for $53.97. Next up is a pair of men's True Religion jean shorts. This is a brand you got to be careful with because they do make fakes. I think I've only found one fake though. You can pretty much tell if it's a fake or not, but these are really nice because on the back they have the style, which this case was the Joey Super Tee. And these were a pair of shorts, and I specifically looked up the Joey Super Tee shorts, and surprisingly, a lot of the men's pieces in this brand perform really well. The women's I usually stay away from. I paid $4.89 for these. I listed them for $49.97 last month, and they just sold on an offer to Watcher for $45. This is a vintage dress that I just took a chance on. It is Alice of California. Now, when I looked up this brand, I won't say it had like an outstanding sell-through rate, but it did have a pretty decent sell-through rate for being a vintage brand. Oftentimes when you look at vintage brands, brand does not matter. It's usually about the style. But in this case, this one actually did have a pretty decent sell-through rate, which I thought was worth noting. So this is a multicolor floral sleeveless dress, and I don't know how to explain it, but this shape in vintage dresses does really well. This like, I guess, shift dress mini with, you know, obviously multicolor floral patterns is going to help, but this particular shape in vintage dresses performs really well for me, and I pick it up in almost any brand as long as it's in good condition. So I paid $4.99 for this Alice of California vintage dress. I listed it for $44.94, and this got listed a few months ago, and it just sold on an offer to Watcher for $40.45. Here's one of my favorite bread and butter brands here lately, and even sometimes I guess a bolo brand depending on what it is. It is Talbot's, and this Talbot's blazer sold pretty quickly for me. Within a couple of months, I paid $5.59 for it. It sold on an offer to Watcher for $35.96. I'm pricing a lot of these blazers somewhere between $30 and $40, and I'm noticing a lot of resellers skipping on them. I picked this one up and priced it pretty high because of the elbow pads on the back and the newer label Talbots. It was also a size 14. All of those things are helping to add value to this, and I just thought it was a pretty modern blazer, even with it being a 3-button. Typically 3-button means it's older. You want to look for typically the 2 buttons, but I thought it was very academia-esque, and I thought it still looked modern even with a 3-button. So I'm glad I picked this up, and I would definitely keep your eye out for Talbot's blazers, especially in larger sizes, but really anything Talbot's, if I'm getting it for cheap, I'm picking up because it has a pretty good following. Next up is something else I got at the bins. This is something I took a chance on based on style. The brand is Sweet Wanderer, but I would not commit that to memory. That is not typically a brand I would pick up. This was a size large, so that is a big reason that I got it. Plus it was an embroidered military jacket, which in my experience, this kind of style does really well. And I thought I was picking up at the bin, so I might as well give it a chance. I probably paid a few bucks for this based on weight. I listed it for $34.95, and it sold on an offer to Watcher for about $32. Which is pretty amazing because I just picked this up only a few months ago, and we're still, in my opinion, in warmer weather, and it is selling immediately. So take chances at the bins, pick stuff up based on style, and start learning what factors really add value. Next up is Soft Surroundings. This is another great bread and butter brand for me, but it also does have some bolos. You're going to see quite a few soft surroundings in this video. This one was actually shown in a short, an Instagram reel that I did, where I talked about what was the best or one of the best sections to check out at the thrift store, and it is sleepwear. I actually found this in sleepwear. I paid $4.29 for it. I listed it for about $40 and it sold for about $36 on an offer to watcher, but this was in the sleepwear section. It is a 100% silk tie-dye kimono, which all of those factors really fantastic. And I just love the color scheme of this. It was a really nice piece. So this only took about a month to sell, and again, I found it in sleepwear. So if you're not already checking sleepwear, definitely look, because thrift stores are putting items in there in the wrong places just because they're 100% silk. This is a men's brand I would definitely keep your eye out for. It is Robert Graham. Robert Graham used to have a really high sell-through rate, but these days does not perform as well for me. However, I still pick it up and just know that I'm probably going to sit on it. They're really well known for their flip cuffs, which we probably should have shown here, but that's basically when you flip the cup up, there's a different pattern on the inside of the cuff. Definitely should have shown that here. I'm gonna have to talk to my photographer about that. But I also got this because it was a size 3XL. In men's stuff, a larger size is typically going to add value because it's more rare. So I paid $5.99. I was pretty confident in this shirt because of the sizing. I listed it for about $45 and it sold for about $36 on an offer to watchers. This is a pair of Jeffrey Campbell shoes. Now, if you're not familiar with Jeffrey Campbell, it is a designer and they make really high-end things that retail for a lot, but the resale value on eBay and Poshmark is not typically very high. However, sometimes their pieces, depending on the style, do have a good sell-through rate, and this is one of those cases. On the inside of the shoe, it said Havana, which I found out to be the style name for these, and I've actually sold quite a few of this particular shoe in different colors, so I'm showing you in case you see it because this particular style does have a really good sell-through rate. It doesn't sell for a ton, but it flips quick. I paid $4.99 for these. They sold for my full asking price of $29.95 in just a few short months. So definitely keep your eye out for these. I would also say that anything Jeffrey Campbell 100% leather also performs really well for me. We are going to dive into some Poshmark sales. This was my favorite Poshmark sale last week. I paid $3.89 for these. If you're not familiar with this brand, I would definitely get familiar with it. It is a Y2K brand. This is Jinko jeans, JNCO. Now this is a boys kids pair of pants. However, I've also sold men's, which is what I would look for as a bolo. So definitely want to look for them in the adults, but if you see it in the kids, I found that this particular style, the cargo pants, also have a really good sell-through rate in the kids department. And in Jinko jeans, anything crazy embroidered or logo embroidered really helps to add value. So I went ahead and picked these up, and we probably should have put this as our cover photo so that people could see the embroidery, as that is the main selling point in this brand, but it still ended up selling. Like I said, I paid $3.89 for these, and they sold for $50, which is crazy good for a pair of used kids pants. Next up are a couple of soft surroundings pieces. Like I said, this is a good bread and butter for me. This one was new with tags. It was a size large, extra large. I paid $6.99 and it sold for $30. And here is another piece. This one is pre-owned. This is a size 3X. Definitely the larger sizes in soft surroundings perform better and have a higher sell-through rate. So this one was pre-owned. I picked this one up at the bins, probably only cost me a couple bucks, and it sold for $25. This is something I got at a regular thrift store. The brand is Eva Mendes. I would definitely not recommend getting this particular line from New York & Company. However, I took a chance on this because it was new with tags. You can see it retails for $130, and I just really like the style of it. I thought it was on trend, kimono Kimono pieces during spring and summer perform really well for me, and I just thought the color scheme of this was really beautiful. So for all of those reasons, I picked it up for full price, $4.99, and it sold for $35. This is a brand I would definitely keep your eye out for during fall and winter. It is LL Bean. They make a lot of great stuff, and I don't know why, but resellers tend to pass on this brand, but they have a really, really good following, and they're so easy to look up. They have a tag that usually has the item ID, and all you need to do is look up LL Bean, and in this case it would be 298274 into Google, and you'd be able to find this exact style. I got this one because it was a cashmere blend. This is cotton cashmere, and it was a size extra large. So keep your eye out for that in both men's and women's. I paid $2.99 for this, and it sold for $28. This is also a men's pickup. It's a really small blanket. I don't know if you can tell by the measurements here, but it is basically a baby blanket. I got this at the bins just on a whim, but I wanted to show you guys because these grandma patches do really well. So if you see anything multicolor like this, I would absolutely pick it up. Like I said, I got this at the bins. It was very small, so I probably only paid a few bucks, and it sold for $25. But if you find bigger grandma blankets, they can sell for anywhere from like $50 to $100, especially if they are multicolor like this. Next up is another bins find. This is just Wild Fable, not typically a brand I'd recommend you get, but I wanted to show you this because I got this based on factor stacking. This is a pair of camo joggers, and I found that combination really helps to sell an item regardless of brand. So keep your eye out for camo joggers, both in sweatpants and these cargo pants. Like I said, I got these ones at the bins, and they sold for $30, which is probably about what they retailed for. Next up is Brooks Brothers. This is definitely a brand I would keep an eye out for during fall and winter. This is a women's cable knit cardigan sweater, and I got this one because it was silk and cashmere, although I have in the past also sold just cotton ones. I picked this one up for $4.39, and it sold for $35. And last item of today's video is a pair of jeans. This is Not Your Daughter's jeans, which I typically pass on. However, some of their styles, when they are size 12 and up, do really good. I found that 12 and 14 tend to be the sweet spot with this brand. These are called the Maryland Straights, and all I would say about this brand is definitely look up the style with the size when you're doing comps to make sure it is worth getting and that they have a decent sell-through rate. I picked these up for $4.99, and they sold for $30. Alright guys, so that's it for what sold. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've sold any of those brands before and how they performed for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.